And Allah Ta'ala alam, the deen is a deen of knowledge. So our advice always is that we have to become people of knowledge. We have to become people of knowledge. First of all, make a lifetime commitment to knowledge. And when we mean make a lifetime commitment to knowledge, Faqih was discussing it with Sheikh Jamal last night, a lifetime commitment to knowledge, the type of knowledge that the Prophet ﷺ bequeathed. Okay? And so yet there is the formal knowledge of religion, and there has to be a lifetime commitment to that. And a day should not go by save that you are engaging knowledge. And I'm talking about even in the mental sense, knowledge. Allah Ta'ala tells us in His book, وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Heck, the commandment of Allah, say, my Lord, increase me in knowledge. And in dua, you just like, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma. Now you raise your Rabbi zidni ilma, but you do nothing to expose yourself to knowledge. That's a kadhab. That's somebody who's raising their hands to Allah Ta'ala, and they're a liar. If you raise your hands to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, هذا دعاء. هكذا the Prophet ﷺ in Tirmidhi, we'll be reciting one of the dua of life. هذا دعاء ومنك الإجابة وهذا جهد وعليك تكلان ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. This is the dua, and the answer comes from you, isn't it? Like my job, you said, ud'uni astajib lakum. You told me, Ya Allah, just to make dua to you. Astajib lakum, and I will answer you. But look at the kalam of the Rasul. هذا dua, this is the dua, he says, وَمِنْكَ الْإِجَابَةِ, and the answer comes for you. What does he say next? هذا الجهد. Now here's the struggle. Because after the dua, you've got to now struggle to expose yourself to the answer. Minhu subhanahu wa ta'ala. But وَعَلَيْكَ تُكْلَانِ. But khalas, we rely only upon you subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ الْعَلِيِّ الْعَظِيمِ, which means we negate all negative forces that will come between us and you subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we have to have a commitment to knowledge. And again, knowledge, yes, in a very formal sense. We have a commitment to having a sound worldview, aqidah. We have a commitment to trying to regulate the form upon the law, fiqh. We have a commitment to tazkiyatun nufus, to purifying the heart. We have a commitment to everything that leads to that and enhances that. We have a commitment even to the tongue, the tongue. That the tongue is like the tongue of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Arabic language, etc. We have a commitment to the religion in its vastest sense in terms of knowledge. But from knowledge also, here is like we studied here, the arts. These are the arts of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the regulation of the form. There has to be. It's not like, Nasallahu salam al afiyah. There's like a 2-week commitment. And many of us have really failed with that one, but there's like a 2-week commitment to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's not a 2-week commitment. It is a lifelong commitment. Believe it's lifelong, If you don't get it, you don't get it. But it is a lifelong commitment. And we are meant to sort of commit to that for life. For life. You're meant to commit to the bow. You pick up that bow. You're meant to commit to that for life. For the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his word sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is a major sin for you to pick up the bow and then put it down. His word sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why you'd say like Uqba ibn Amir. He's in his old age, and then you'd find him 70 bows he has, and you'd find him inside of the rage, and they say enough, khalas, you're too old now. He said, la. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us. We cannot pick it up and ever put it down. Ever. It's really, really important this, You're going to qul rabbi zidni ilma. My Lord, increase me in knowledge. That is as much as it relates to the likes of jiu-jitsu and to archery and horses as it does to fiqh and aqidah and tasawwuf. It's all intertwined, Are often all intertwined. And we should understand that if you wanted to go further, this comes first, And what did the Sahaba study first? Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever. Did they study that first, or did they study Tawheed first? What one did they study first? Did they study like the wrestling and jiu-jitsu first, or did they study fiqh first? Which one? Come on. I'm asking you to think here. What did they study first? What did they master first? And here's you going to flip it upside down, You're going to enter through a different gateway, a different doorway. You can't enter through a different doorway. Believe me, you can't. We enter through the doors that the Sahaba entered, in the manner that they entered, radiallahu anhu warda, to properly approach the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. And so it's just those type of commitments, yani. If we're asking, like Ustad Nisar made mention of yesterday, like I was mentioning to Sheikh Jamal, like of the most inspiring people upon this Futuwwa, this is the third Futuwwa, was Ustad Jihad. I said, why Ustad Jihad? Because Ustad Jihad, he sat with Ustad Nisar 2 years ago, first time upon the mat, yani, first time upon the mat, wasn't it? Literally first time upon the mat. Then he left, and then he's been consistent for 2 years. Araftum. And the Fakir, we rolled with him 2 years ago, and 2 years later, and there's Shatan Mabain, Jihad then and Jihad now. But because he got something, yani, he understood something. You with it? This is the taster. Now, class, it's for me to discipline my life in order to align it accordingly. And so, like Ustad Nisar said yesterday, every single one of us, when we go home, we've got to make that commitment. We've got to find the club. Yeah, because it is easy to come and do it for 2 weeks. A lot harder to do it week in, week out. Even once a week. It's a lot harder to do it, but that is where the barakah is. Khairul a'mal adwamuha when qalla. He says in Sahih al-Bukhari, the best of all deeds is the one that is consistent, even if it's small. The Prophet ﷺ said. So consistency inside of our sort of physical training, consistency inside of our archery, consistency in horses, barak. Allah Ta'ala, you barak, and many of the brothers, no doubt sisters, who regularly they frequent horses, they wait horses, they train horses, they clean horses, they clean out the stables of horses, they mount horses, they ride horses. It's got to become part of our daily life. Hakadha. And all of this, alhamdulillah, we ask to make it more easier for us. It's company, yani. And being with good people. There's nothing that substitutes that, yani. Araftum? You with it? So if with all of this, because if it's all the it's all theory inside of the mind, just for you to attach to that theory, no doubt it's exponentially difficult. But if the theory is anchored in human beings, there's human beings who practice what we're speaking about, and then you can now be in the company of such people, no doubt it becomes exponentially easier, yani. And so that's what we've got to do. But if there's no such people, you be that person. So now you're going to help because now when you're that person, you're creating an environment for other people and making it easier for people. وَالْعَجَلَ عَلَى قَدْرِ الْمَشَقَّةِ, and your reward, mashallah, tabarakallah, is great with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we try to take what we took, and then we just try to live it. Let's facilitate. You go home, facilitate. First thing, like you go into your house, and others, and you start looking inside of your cupboards, and you start looking, tell you what's going on here. Or after you get the point, that's it. First, like what's going on here? I got to sort of sort out here what I'm eating. First thing, you get the point. Yeah. The second thing, once you've gone to your cupboard, because no doubt that's the first thing we do. You open the fridge. To see what's there, yani. So sort out what's in the fridge, sort out what's in the cupboard. And as we mentioned, you go upstairs to your bedroom, sort out the bedroom, shufat the bed there, not facing the Qibla. Even if it's facing the Qibla, like we saw with some brothers at the bed facing the Qibla, and they put the pillow on the opposite side. The bed was facing the Qibla, and the pillow was in the right place, and they flipped it to the other side. So now, shuf, let me sort out the bedroom, to make sure when I sleep, mashallah, it's already facilitated for me, if you get the point. That's what we got to do. Just try to sort of, become spiritual architects, and to try to design our environments in a way that makes sort of life easier for us. Life in the next world easier for us. I don't know if that was the answer, but we ask Allah Ta'ala for tawfiq, yani. In particular, it's the last day of the night. It's this tahajjud. Tahajjud, that last stage of the night, there should be different acts that the slave does. Okay, of the most important acts, is salah. Salah and the Rasul is 8 rak'ah. For the Prophet maximum. Salah alayhi wa sallam. There also should be munajat, which is dua, munajat. Praying to Allah Ta'ala, speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That also encompasses the action of muhasabah. Like what Sheikh Jamal was referring to yesterday, how every company will always have, the review periods. Okay, every night there should be review periods of the day. That's muhasabah, but that there can be placed inside of munajat. Do you get the point? because that's what you're discussing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how the day has gone. And then it can also at the end, which is the very end, that's what it will bil ashari, as Allah ta'ala says, bil ashari hum yastaghfirun. And so by the last portion of the night, you'll find them astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah alladhi la ilaha illa huwa ar-rahman ar-rahim al-hayyu al-qayyum la yamutu وتوب إليه ربي فاغفر لي واستغفر الله للمؤمنين والمؤمنات استغفر اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. And you find yourself in istighfar. هكذا when Fajr comes, you should always find yourself in a state of istighfar. Okay, but that munajat right there in the middle there of those two acts, their intimate discourse with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. عرفتم؟ يعني with children, and so just treat yourself like like a child. You can ask a child like a child. You say to a child, write a letter to Allah. You could say that to her. Write a letter to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You write a letter to Allah. That's what munajat is. Now maybe in the beginning it's that type of takalluf, where in a day you're writing a letter to Allah ta'ala, and then at night you start reading it out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hakada, the act, until you can sort of put away, the preemptive, the preparation of it, and it could be something, spontaneous. Hakada, the beauty of those people, and there is the beauty of those people, like the Arabs who surrounded the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were people of spontaneity. They were people of they could express their feelings, and it was all about their feelings. That's why like jiu-jitsu. Once I did Faqir listen to it, really profound interview of Hickson Gracie. He's been into Hickson Gracie, and he would ask him the difference between Japanese jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So he speaking about Japanese jiu-jitsu is sets of protocols, but he says what the Brazilians did, they based it upon feeling. You get the point? Like feeling, being in that moment of it. It was a really brilliant way he expressed the difference in one and the other. The reality of Islam's between the both of them, to be honest. That's what I found it so profound. It's between the protocols, which we call the adabs, and the actual feelings. The feelings can more so be jahiliyyah. Like the Arabs just had these feelings, and then spontaneously they could express them in a beautiful way. That is a beautiful quality to have, and we should get there. That's why the greatest poems that have ever been written, called the Mu'allaqat, Imr al-Qais, Tarif ibn Abd, Antarish ibn Shaddad, all of those poems there, they were spontaneous. Like in Mani, we called them freestyle. They just said it spontaneously, hakada, and then people got it, and then written in gold ink, hung it up on the Kaaba. That is useful now, because now you're just doing it for medh of man, isn't it? For man to praise you. But you've still got the quality. Now when you become Muslim, you can spontaneously express themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order for Allah ta'ala to praise you. And we've got to become people who are intimate with Allah ta'ala. The faqir, often we look at our shayukh, the most amazing thing you see, Allahu alam, the faqir, the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my shayukh is to see them in dua. And then when they're in dua, it's just to see that relationship between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no way you could misunderstand that this person has a relationship with Allah ta'ala, that there's somebody else on the end of his words, and he is certain of that. For us, Allahumma, we just got that type of Allahumma, and there's just nobody on the other side of it, nobody. We've just got to really try to have that relationship, nurture that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, any questions, inshallah ta'ala? Really important, 6:30, we're finishing now, inshallah ta'ala, jiu-jitsu. So we're all going to be there in jiu-jitsu. We're going to be there in Giz, or we're going there outside of Giz, but we're all going to be there, And often, obviously, it's the most important, the closing session of jiu-jitsu. It's a tournament, inshallah ta'ala. And so those who are sort of physically able, then they are requested to sort of turn up in their Giz, ready, inshallah ta'ala, as Ustad Nisar can sort of, once again, can remind us of what we have to do in terms of 80 above and 18 below, names, khalas, for entry. If that's not the situation, the situation is we're not entering into the tournament, then we should be there, inshallah ta'ala. And what's important, as Ustad Nisar reminded us of, is the adab that we have to observe when we're there, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? And yes, most of us were raised upon the terraces, the football terraces. Yes, most of us are football hooligans, but we've just got to put that aside, and we've got to try to observe the etiquettes that would be beloved to Allah Ta'ala and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If we displayed it when, inshallah Ta'ala, we're seeing other people engage, inshallah tabarakallah. Okay, so we hope, inshallah ta'ala, everybody's there. And the faqir, yani just, Allahu alam, I know people may have whatever they're doing, but regardless of what's, or with the permission of Ustad Nisa, even sisters, he's invited, if he don't have a class, he's invited to come and watch the brothers strut their stuff, do their stuff, inshallah ta'ala, upon the mat. Inshallah ta'ala. And maybe, and I'm only saying that, the only thing comes to my mind, because that's how it was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The women folk would come along and they would watch the men do battle. Araftum? Do battle. That's a sunnah. And so the sisters, if Allah, I think you may have a khat. If you don't have a khat class or what have you, then you say, inshallah ta'ala, welcome with the permission of Ustad Nisa, inshallah ta'ala, to observe the tournament for brothers. So it's 6:30. So inshallah ta'ala, if Ustad Nisa, we have 13 minutes just to go, get ready, and to be, inshallah, ready. And what we hope, everyone's there. If there's someone in your room who's like, just get the point, get him out of there. Just get them, no busting Z's at this point in time. Just get them up, khalas. Everybody down to the wall, everybody, without exception, inshallah ta'ala. Is that right, Jamal? We even mentioned to Ustad Jamal. Ustad Jamal was going to go around knocking on doors, And we shouldn't need that, okay? But inshallah, tabarakallah. Tayyib, Ustad Nisar, anything, inshallah.